Listen, yours looks very good. Mine only comes in here and weirdly here. And it's pure white, and I look like Willie Nelson. It's not okay. I'm not okay with it.
Welcome to another Newsweek conversation. I'm here with Jerry O'Connell. Jerry, I am so excited to meet you.
It's an honor for me to be here. It's really fun. I'm excited. I love to converse, and I love Newsweek.
Well, we're conversationalists. I love it. You had such a storied career. You worked so much. You started off in one of my favorite films of all time, Stand By Me.
Right.
Do you figure that's why you've been so successful, or are there other things that came along the way?
It's so crazy how a career happens. I mean, I'm older now. I mean, I don't know. I still feel insecure, or like even when I come up here to Newsweek, I'm like, I feel like a kid, you know? And it's just so crazy to me that I've been doing this now for, 85. Stand By Me came out in 1986. So I've been doing this for 34 years. 34 years. That would be the equivalent if in 1986 something came out in 1952.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bananas to me. Stand By Me was my first job.
Yeah.
It was a big open call that they did here in New York. I took an acting class for kids, like an improv acting class on Sundays down at an acting school here in New York called HB Studios. And I think it was called like improv acting for kids, like youth improv acting.
Right.
And it was a group of young people on a Sunday who would get together, and we would get a suggestion from the audience, and then we would build a scene around it.
Classic improv.
Classic improv.
Yes,
and then yes, and I was 10 when I was in this class, and everyone was a teenager. I mean, they were probably 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. I was 10. And I just remember very early on, like even the older kids after class going, "Hey man, you were really good in that class. That was really funny." And it was like the first thing I was good at. I was really not that good of an athlete. I was definitely not that good of a student. And I was just good at acting, good at improv, good at emoting in front of an audience.
Well, it's a gift to find what you're good at. I mean, we all want to find out what we're good at. So.
Well, it's so funny having kids now, because I have two children who are 11, and look, I love my kids equally, and I don't, but they do school plays, and I love them equally. They're amazing, but one is fearless when it comes to doing that play. Is not self-conscious at all. Just does it I do work on our stuff at home. You know, I'm an actor. That's what I do. And I'm usually like, hey, you can
bring it down.
You can bring it down a touch. It's just no one has to say that to kids. You know, my other kid, love them both equally, but I'm like, hey, you gotta bring it up a little bit. And she's just a little shyer, you know, but it's just funny how it worked out. Anyway,
So look, you did the movie. The movie was amazing. I know you had an amazing experience during it. Did you do a whole bunch of work after that, or went back to the grind of going back to high school like everybody else?
I just didn't. I was in public school in New York. I grew up in New York City, and I went back to school, and I just wasn't a kid actor. You know, I didn't. I just wasn't a kid actor. It's so funny. After Stand By Me came out, River Phoenix, God rest his soul, his mother called up my mom and said, "Listen, this movie's a big hit. Your son needs like an agent and needs, you're in a movie. You're an actor now." I did a couple things here and there. Like I did a TV show for Scholastic, the book, the kids' book company, and I did an after-school special, but I didn't really
Nothing compared
rise
to...
to the level of stardom that Stand By Me shot me at. You know, shot me out at. It was I was just in public school here in New York. You know.
What was it like going to public school after having done that film?
You know what's funny is Stand By Me was a little bit. It was for older kids.
Yep.
When Stand By Me came out, I was 12, and 12-year-olds. It wasn't for 12-year-olds. It was for more like teenagers. So like, I was in junior high school when Stand By Me came out. So high school kids knew who I was, but the kids in my grade didn't know who I was.
So
you
it
know?
didn't make a big difference, really, to your...
It didn't make a difference in my life. It really
your life.
didn't. It really didn't. When I went to university, I went to NYU. When I got to college, people knew me as the kid from Stand By Me. They were like,
Right.
and by that time they'd seen the film, and it.
Oh, it's iconic.
Yeah. So, and because I went to film school at NYU, so people had known the film. You know,
Yeah.
with my peers in junior high school, they didn't really. Stand By Me wasn't on their radar.
Right.
You know.
Which of all of your movies have you watched yourself most often?
I
Which one have you
guess
seen?
I'll say Stand By Me because it's just on TV the most.
Right.
It's and it's funny, whenever I'm going past and flicking through and I see it, I have to sit down and watch the whole thing. It's just,
Well, it must take you back. And
yeah, I just never get tired of it. It's almost like looking at like a baby album, I guess, you know, or like
Right.
photos of like summer camp or something. Because I have such vivid memories of what happened that day as a kid, you know, like when we're doing a scene, I'm like, oh, that's the day that we all went swimming in the river at lunch and it was so
Yeah,
fun, or that's the day that we got to ride the camera crane in between takes, you know.
do you ever notice new things in it when you see it? Or you know it so well you don't?
It's not that I notice new things. I'm amazed at how great the film is, you know, and it's really funny how things that are good are they're just timeless. You just can't. They're just timeless, and I really have to say, Rob Reiner, looking back, was so good at directing us and working with us, and he really just got great performances out of all four of us. He was. It's just such a special film to see, and I think that's why here we are, 36 years later, still talking about it. You know.
As an adult, what was your favorite job?
I do have to say it was a lot of fun. I was in a film called Scream 2.
Sure.
And I know there are probably other highfalutin projects that I've been a part of that I should be talking about, but
Love Wes Craven.
Wes Craven directed it, and it was, you know, it starred very famous young actors and actresses of the day that were all in it. You know, Liev Schreiber, Nev Campbell, Portia de Rossi, Rebecca Gayheart, Jamie Kennedy, I'm sorry if I'm forgetting people, Elise Neal, Sarah Michelle Gellar.
That's impressive. You can list them all.
You
like
know,
that.
Timothy Oliphant, Courtney Cox, David Arquette. It was like a whole bunch of us. I'm sorry if I didn't say your name. Jada Pinkett Smith. Just everybody. We all worked together and we went out every night, and I never felt so cool. Like when you're going out with, you know, 12, 13, 14 people deep,
right.
and that's your posse, and you're walking into the club with those people, you really feel like, man, I've really arrived. It's it was the most fun. I mean, I know I'm supposed to say it's about the work and the process and the character I portrayed, but really we partied so much on that. It was really
fun.
It was really fun. It was a really good time.
Fantastic. Let's talk about Carter.
Yes.
Let's talk about Carter. So tell us a little bit about the show. I mean, your character is an actor.
It's super funny. This is an actor who plays a cop on TV who helps the cops solve crimes using television rules. And the script really made me laugh. It really makes fun of every episode of Law & Order, every episode of CSI you've ever seen.
Yeah.
It uses all those television rules to solve TV crimes. And, at its centerpiece is this guy Carter, who's this very vain, shallow, not the smartest TV detective, but he is a great TV detective. He helps the cops solve crimes, and it really made me laugh.
It made me laugh when I saw it, for sure. This is a silly question, but have you ever had that experience as an actor where you learned something and you actually were able to apply it in real life?
The closest I can tell you is I played a cop on a procedural, that's what they call these shows, procedurals, on a procedural for NBC for 6 seasons called Crossing Jordan. And I played a cop. So I put on a fake badge and had a gun and everything. And I don't want to sound like a psycho, but you sometimes feel like you're a cop. We worked at the studio and our parking lot was right next to there. And sometimes when I'd have the badge on and stuff, if people were pulled into the lot incorrectly, I'd be like, hey man, you can't park here, man. You can't park here. You got to turn around. You can't park here. And I'd hold my fake badge out and stuff. And that's psycho.
And you meant it.
It's psycho of me, but you feel you can't help but get into character, I'm sorry. I swear I'm not impersonating someone in law enforcement. I would never do that. That's highly illegal.
I think directing someone in a parking lot is a safe place to experiment.
But that's sort of what Carter is about. It's about a person who has been playing make-believe way too long. He's starting to think he can actually do it. But of course, because it's a TV show, Carter has to, of course, help solve the crime. So.
You're temporarily living in New York at the moment.
Yeah.
You may have been born and bred temporarily, but you're here till March.
Temporarily. Sounds like I'm going through a divorce. No, everything's fine, everybody. I'm still married. Temporary arrangements.
You're in a play on Broadway.
Yes.
Called A Soldier's Play.
Big time.
Right.
It's so exciting to talk about. It's a Pulitzer Prize-winning play written by Charles Fuller in 1982, won the Pulitzer Prize in 82.
Yeah.
First time it's on Broadway.
They made a movie of it.
Made a movie called A Soldier's Story.
And I think Denzel was in both the original and this.
Denzel was in both. And also, ironically enough, David Alan Grier, who's our star in A Soldier's Play on Broadway, was also in the original production in 82.
Oh!
And in the movie.
Oh, wow.
But he played...
that's his thing. That's all he does in life.
No. He played different roles in the play, the film, and now on Broadway he's got one of the lead roles. Blair Underwood has the other lead. And it's...
So what attracted you to the play? What made you want to come spend 3 months away from your family?
First of all, it's Broadway,
yeah.
So that's an honor.
Yeah.
It's our director is Tony Award-winning Kenny Leon. He's an amazing director. I would get coffee for him on a production, let alone act for him. I just knew it was going to be a special experience, and it really has been. It's our director Kenny Leon said early on, this is going to be the most important project you all work on, and he was right. It's the most important project I've ever worked on. It's about race relations in the U.S. Army in the early 1940s, and for my character specifically, it's the first time my character of Captain Taylor has met an African American who is of equal rank to him.
Right.
It's the first time he's ever come face to face with an African American who is of equal rank, and it's how he reacts to it. And there's a crime that's been committed on this fictitious fort, and it's a great play. It's a Pulitzer Prize-winning play. Yeah. I mean, they don't give out Pulitzer Prizes. They're not like Tic Tacs. You gotta really be like.
Did you seek out the role, or how did you come to be part of it?
I have begged Mr. Leon to hire me in the past, and this is the first time I had the opportunity to. Yeah, I mean, I begged to be a part of it. Sure, yeah, it's beyond seeking. I begged, pleaded.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Discussions about race are always loaded and hard to navigate. Mm-hmm. As you've done the play, are there any stories or any thoughts that you've had as a result of the play that you'd like to share with us?
The craziest thing about doing a soldier's play, which is it's a 40-year-old play. It's almost a 40-year-old play. The craziest thing about doing it every night is how relevant it is today as it was 40 years ago. It's bananas. Everyone should see the play. It's just crazy. It's a terrific piece of work. I mean, Charles Fuller wrote an incredible play, and it's an honor to be a small part of it.
It's fantastic. So I looked you up on social media. The place you seem to be most active, you had no pictures and you had no friends. And it was Yelp. And you seriously, you can friend people on Yelp. You've not friended anybody. And you've not taken any pictures. But you have a big thing on Yelp, like all your reviews are 5-star.
Right.
Every single one.
Right.
And it started, your first one, I don't know if you remember.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, very first one was like...
an air conditioning company.
It was an air conditioner, yeah. It was like, it was so good, I didn't even know it was on. That's right.
Okay, first of all, this is the only time you're ever going to hear this on Conversations.
Yeah.
Follow me on Yelp. You will never hear someone say that. You will never get Kanye up here telling you to follow him on Yelp.
I think it's awesome. I mean, everyone's trying to do their Instagram thing or their Snapchat thing or their whatever thing, and your thing, no.
I live in California. I live in California, and the summers, whether you believe in climate change or not, the summers seem to be getting hotter and hotter every year out there. And
there may be something there. Maybe.
But my AC went out, and I called up an AC company, and they would not repair my AC unless I mentioned them on Yelp.
No way.
And it was like
so you were
hot.
Blackmailed.
It was so hot. I was like, just whatever you want. And they were like, you got to give us a Yelp review. And I was like, this is the best air conditioning company in the world. But then I did it. But then I started to like really get into Yelp reviews. And I think it comes from...
a thing.
I think it comes from being an actor.
Yeah.
Okay? And reading negative Twitter comments. And they're really hurtful. When you do something like a show like Carter on WGN America, if someone writes like, I hate Jerry O'Connell, making believe he's a cop on Carter. It's such BS. He couldn't be a cop anywhere. And it's like, they just write like negative things. And I went to another place, and I just like felt the power of positivity. I don't want this to turn into like think positive and things will happen. But like, if I went somewhere after that and I had a remotely okay experience, I would just write a really positive Yelp review. I do not give anything less than 5 stars on Yelp. I don't give negative reviews.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that people take their time out to write something negative. Like they actually like use their energy to say negative things. Like even if you didn't like your meal, just like keep it, just don't go back there and keep it to yourself. Like there's no reason to like put that out there. It's so negative. It's just, you know what? Maybe it also comes from, the first time I was in the public eye, I was in Stand By Me.
Yeah.
And I was, I was a husky kid.
Yeah.
I was, healthy, whatever you want to call it. And so, like a lot of people would call me like fat kid from Stand By Me, and so maybe my first foray into the public eye, it gave people an opportunity to make fun of my physical appearance, and therefore I would never use words like that to hurt anyone, I would never do that. I just wouldn't.
Listen, I think that's a lesson for everyone.
There you go.
I really do.
Oh,
All right.
is that it?
Yes, that's it. Jerry, thank you.
I really enjoyed that.
That's great. Thank you
Sorry,
very
I got a
much.
little emo on everybody there.